interview with Danielle Ibarra in the Orange Grove.
What time do you usually start in the mornings here?
It depends on the weather. It runs from maybe 9:30 to 12 o'clock.
Do a lot of families bring their kids to work, or do they put them someplace where families?
Well, mostly now they've got child care centers where they leave them. Some have babysitters.
About how long is the season?
Well, the season here with Charlie Hines, who I work for, run about 4 months.
Danny, what do you see as the biggest problems with the farm labor situation?
I think that the farm labor should be equal to any kind of labor in the United States whatsoever. Mostly everybody gets unemployment compensation. I don't know why they're ruling out the farm labor.
You said a minute ago that most of your work is steady, that there's plenty of work and that basically your crew does keep working. Why is it that unemployment compensation is so important?
Well, I wouldn't say steady because a lot of times there may be a break of 2 or 3 weeks, like you finish the oranges and then peach thinning don't start or plum thinning don't start till maybe April the 15th. Sometimes, in most cases, a lot of them finish the oranges in March. So sometimes you got a little 2 or 3 weeks of you haven't got too much to do. And sometimes sometimes we'll get rain for a week or even 2 weeks. All that time, these people are not bringing in a penny. I think also too there should be some kind of a negotiation between the farmers and the farm labor and all that stuff.
Do you think wages are adequate now?
Well, not really. In some cases they're not. In some cases they're not. But like the farm labor it's not. The farm labor is not organized. So therefore, you've got nobody to negotiate for you. You've got nobody like. Say, for instance, right now that boycott they're having, well, that's the only way they can go about it. There's no other means. I don't approve of it myself, really, but what else are they going to do? Sure, I understand the farmer's got a lot of problems too. I'm not just going to go and say, well, the farm labor's the only one that's hurting. Maybe some of the little farmers hurting too.
You were saying that you actually you would definitely prefer working in farm labor situation to other jobs.
Well,
what is it about it that you enjoy?
I'd much rather work out here in the open than in a packing house or anything like that. I can make just as much money picking oranges myself as working by the hour in a packing house at $1.75 or $2 an hour. So I'd much rather be out in the open, because that's what I've did all my life. So I really enjoy being out.
Do you think you'd prefer it if there were better money elsewhere?
Well, sure. If I was making big money some other place, well, sure. But a packing house or anything like that, I'd much rather work out.
Do you think farm laborers have a kind of freedom that maybe some other people don't have?
Yes, I believe so, yes. Definitely.
How long do you feel it's going to be before you begin to feel the pinch of mechanization in the kind of labor that you're involved with?
I don't really know, really, to tell you the truth.
It's been demonstrated to me that it's very critical the way you pick oranges, otherwise you spoil them.
Yes.
Now, do you see a machine doing that ever?
I don't think so, not in oranges. They're talking about, I think they even tried them out, but I don't think that there'll ever be a picking machine for oranges. The farmer that I do work for, he says as long as he can get labor, he'll never use a machine.
If there is much tendency toward union organization of laborers, do you think this is going to tend to push the growers more quickly into mechanizing?
Well, yes, to a certain point, yes. But like I just said a while ago, a lot of farmers, if they can get labor, they will not go to machinery. I don't think that the farm labor will really ever, get unionized the way, well, you take the Teamsters. I don't think it can be done. But I've always thought that that if the farm labor would get unemployment compensation and some kind of medical care, that they would need to be unionized. There should be something done about the farmer and the farm labor. I mean, I've been in this a long time, and I know what the farmer goes through sometimes.
You think the farmer is in just about as uncertain a situation as the laborer?
That is right. That is right. As long as a farmer gets a decent pay for his product, then the farmer can afford to pay a decent wage to the farm labor. Okay? And also get this unemployment compensation and some kind of medical care that would stop a lot of this welfare. And I don't think it really be hurting anybody, financial-wise, to give the farm labor unemployment compensation. I don't think so. The way it's set up now, I don't think it would. Right across the country. I don't think it would hurt anybody, really.
How is this related to welfare, do you think? What were you getting at?
Well, say, for instance, it rains for 2 weeks. You don't get to work. You've got no income coming in. You're a farm laborer. What else can he do? He's got to go stand in line over there. His kids can't go hungry. He's off work for 2 weeks. It's rained for 2 weeks. What's he going to do?
Yeah.
So if he had an unemployment compensation, he'd go out there and file, and a week later he'd get a little money coming in. He would need to go out there and stand in line in a welfare office.
Well, if he can just as easily get it in welfare now, what difference does it make whether it's unemployment compensation or welfare?
It makes a lot of difference. To me, it makes a lot of difference, because when a person goes up to stand in a welfare line, he doesn't feel too good. Anyway, I wouldn't, and I know a lot of them said the same thing. They're trying to hide their face when they go up there. And you show me one fella's went up to the unemployment line and hide his face. No, he figures he's got that thing coming, because he paid for it. This other way, no. He feels like he's going up there and ask for charity, and he doesn't like it. But he has to, because his kids need it. And I would, and you would, and anybody else would, if his kids got hungry.
Do you think there'll be a labor problem when all these kids are going to school now? Do you think they'll want to stay as farm workers like you say you enjoy it?
Well, no, I don't think so. I think that if a kid gets education, I don't think education enough to get a fairly decent job, he wouldn't want to come in here and pick oranges, no.
They can't make as much money.
As far as I'm concerned, I wouldn't, my kids, if they want to go to school and I'm able to send them, if God's willing, I'd rather have them to have a profession of any kind.
Do you feel that most low-income families can afford to send their kid to junior college?
Oh, yes. I think so, yes.
Do you think most of them feel the importance of that?
Well, I don't really know, to tell you the truth. I figure that most of them would like to see their kids get an education. I think so. I don't see any way that a father wouldn't want to send his kid to school if he could afford to, or if his kid was bright enough to go to school, to college.
Somebody was saying there are a lot of cases in which children are held out of school in order to babysit for younger kids while the mother works. Do you think this happens very much?
Yes, in cases it does, sure. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Does it interfere with their education?
Well, of course it does. Anytime you get off at one day of school, you've missed one day of school. You get behind.
Leo Fry.
Ted, glad to know you. Well, I go along with Danny. I think that any time you have to keep a child out of school for any reason, he's just getting behind. But we have a system now. We have one right here in Wood Lake where there is a child center. It costs the parents nothing. They take their children down there, leave them all day. They have teachers. Makes no difference if he's 2 years old or 8.
We haven't got one in Farmersville. Of course, Linnell is considered Farmersville, but that's what I heard, that they don't, under 2 years old, they will not take care of them.
Do a lot of the mothers work regularly?
Yes. Yes, they do.
Oh, you were saying that you felt that junior college was pretty well available to people of almost any income now.
Yes, I think so, yes.
Are there a lot of kids who drop out, either during high school or before going to college?
I think after high school, a lot of them do drop out. I figure 60%.
Why?
Well, see, a kid that his parents are low income, he figures that he can't afford to keep going to school because he figures that he has to help his parents. In most cases, the parent does need that help from his 18 or 19-year-old boy or even a girl.
But this traps the kid into being basically low income for the rest of his life in lots of cases.
Well, yes, definitely so. If I know of one kid that he had a real good brain on his head, and he was bright. After high school, he couldn't afford to go to college. His parents just couldn't afford to send him. So he just dropped out. He actually could have been anything he wanted to.
I want to get back on the subject again of the farmer, the farm worker, and all the other forces that are operating in relation to holding things the way they are.
Go ahead. I'll let you start.
Well, like I was saying just a while ago, I think that there's a lot of times where the middleman is making the money and not the farmer or the farm labor.
First, you got the farmer. It goes to the packing house, then to the buyer, which is usually a big corporation that buys the fruit. They have a man that sells for them. He gets a commission. And it goes to the consumer, or to the markets, and then to the consumer. And you actually got 5.
The big chain groceries,
right? Your chain grocery stores and your auctions, all your auctions. That's where your fruit goes from here, the auctions.
And they're all making money.
Everybody's making money.
Yeah.
And actually, the only one that has any money to speak of invested is the packing house has some money invested, and the farmer. The main thing is this. The farmer is going to have to get his product harvested in the cheapest way he can in order to make anything. In order to make any part of his investment back, let's put it that way. The farm labor has got to make every dime he can in order to live. So you've got, that's the whole thing right there. But this is where you get into mechanical harvesting. If the farmer can harvest his crop cheaper by mechanically harvesting, he's going to have to do it, or else he's going to have to get more money.
What about more money for the product?
How are you going to get it? How are you going to cut these freeloaders out? This is the point. The problem is, who are you going to cut out? This is the main thing. You can't cut out the retail stores, and you actually can't cut out the buyer that sells to the retail stores. You can't cut out the packers, so you've got no one really that you can completely cut out of the picture. You might be able to cut their margin.
Well,
What do you think about that?
I see one thing that Leo's right about that. You can't hardly cut any one of them people out because they're needed. They're needed. It's just like trying to cut Leo out or me out of here. In a sense, we're needed to see that this job is done the way it's supposed to be done. Now, I say this. I say, well, let's talk about the peach farmer, the cling peach farmer. Well, instead of him getting $85 a ton or $87, which I think is somewhere around there, why don't the cannery come up with a better price for him at a 90 or 95 or 100? Even if they have to sell a can of peaches a cent or 2 cents more. I don't think that would hurt the consumer.
Today, with a 20-acre block of oranges, A man has to go out and work to make a living. You can't support a family and pay the taxes on 20 acres of oranges anymore. It just isn't there. You can't afford to pay a man to work for you. You're either going to have to do it yourself or find the cheapest way you can get it done.
Well, you two men have a, special kind of rapport in your work, and I can tell an understanding. I'm going to ask you a touchy question, and that's the whole question of discrimination. Can you talk about it, or is it?
I can. Can you, Denny?
Well, I guess I can add a little bit to that.
I can talk about it very easy. I don't think there is any discrimination. At our house, there'll be anywhere from 6 to 8 kids at my house per week. The boys and the girls will come up here. And I would say half of them, or maybe more, are Mexican boys and girls that come to our house. They're all welcome, so our kids don't have any discrimination. So why should we? I have none. I don't think Danny does. I don't think it makes any difference to him if he wants to associate with a white man or a Mexican or a black. It makes no difference. As long as the man is a decent man. If he happens to be a wino or something, we might kind of shy away from it. Or some guy that's out here picking a fight every night, we stay away from them. And I think Danny's the same way. I think any of your people that they associate with who they want to. Let's put it that way. And I don't think color makes any difference.
A Mexican-American or an immigrated Mexican, if he wants to be in any little city that he may live, if he wants to be respected, well, he'll respect everybody else. That's the way I feel about it. I've got a lot of friends in Farmersville. Anglo-American. A lot of them I went to school with. And I'm just tickled to death because I've always thought that I was a respected citizen. And they all respect me. Businessmen in Farmersville and non-businessmen, I know a lot of them. Mexican-American and Anglo-American and everything. So I just say that it's not what color of skin you are, it's just what you want to be. That's all. You got anything to add to that, Leo?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. It doesn't make any difference your color, but if you want to be that's one thing about our country. You can be whatever you are determined to be.
The Mexican-American seems to think, this is only my view on it, seems to think that he is discriminated. I know that that's not true. See, in the community, we don't seem to be active enough. Get in it and help, different clubs. In other words, we're not mixing enough in the community.
Do you think that's a sense of inferiority because they are laborers and not middle class, or?
Maybe so. Maybe that's got something to do with it, and also.
Or cultural difference.
Yes, that's. I don't think cultural too much. I think that. The language barrier. See. In most cases, a lot of these immigrated Mexican people, if they go to a council meeting, half of the time they don't understand 1% of it. Or to a Lions Club meeting, or to any kind of chamber meeting. So they say, well, why should I go? Or to a party or to a dance. Because they can't seem to communicate with the other people. Maybe that's got something to do with it.
So it takes almost a generation or half a generation to change the language.
I think it takes more than that. We've got Mexican people here, right here in Woodlake, that was born and raised in Woodlake, and are 50, 60 years old and can't speak a word of English. There's a little more to it than that. But I'll just give you, for instance, on our local football team, the high school football team, half of the boys that play on the team are Mexican boys. A good half of them. We have what we call a boosters club. And at all of the clubs, all year, I've never seen one Mexican person at the meetings. And it's just like Danny says. I don't know whether it's they don't seem to communicate with what's going on or what.
But why don't you? Now I want to know why you don't do that.
Well, you
don't ask me that question.
You tell us why.
Don't ask me that question.
I'd like
I don't even know the answer myself.
I'd really like to know it myself.
Pardon?
I don't
Can
even...
you try to
Well,
figure out why?
maybe it's because sometimes you take a farm labor, which maybe that doesn't pretend to me now. I used to be a farm labor, maybe, but I still, in other sense, I come out here and I still put a good day in. You know what I mean? So maybe these people, they get out of picking oranges almost at dark. They're tired. Their wives go home and they've got to clean up the house and cook supper. By the time they do all that, it's already 7 or 7:30. By the time they have dinner, they're just tired, weary, and they have got no energy to go out and attend a meeting till 10 o'clock. Maybe that's...
No,
maybe that's
I won't
the
agree,
point.
Danny. I'm a farm laborer, too. In a sense, I'm a farm laborer, too. I'm out here in the morning at least 2 hours, sometimes 4, before you come. I'm here an hour or 2 after you leave, and I still take part in everything that goes on. My wife works, too. So there's something else. There's something that we can't put our finger on.
Well,
but there is a reason.
Well, I said cultural, but that can't be...
It is,
I don't think
there's,
that's the fact there, culture. I don't think so.
And this is where a lot of people get the opinion that is discrimination. But it isn't. And it doesn't make any difference whether it's the Mexican people or the colored, the black people. It doesn't make any difference. It's all the same way. You see very few of them taking part in anything. But it isn't it that we...
Are they ostracized by their own people? If you start putting on airs by going to the Lions Club, does that mean you're cutting out from, the rest of the laborers?
No, that's no. Definitely not. That's not the... why, well, maybe this has got something to do with it. I don't know. Like I say, I've got a lot of Anglo-American friends in Farmersville, which they actually, they're the best of friends. I've known some since I went to grade school, and they're still in Farmersville.
But you still don't join these
well,
organizations, right?
I'm in the VFW, but here in the last year or so, I've never attended a meeting. Why? I don't know myself. See, and they ask me all the time, Dan, why don't you come out to the meetings? And well, actually, they've invited me to many different activities in Farmersville. A Lions Club, they asked me to join the Lions Club. Well, different things. They asked me to go to the dances, square dancing. They've invited me 4 or 5 different times. I've never have. So that's why as far as Farmersville is concerned, I think there's no prejudice there. Maybe there's a sense of inferiority there. I don't know why. But as far as being welcome, I know that in Farmersville we are all welcome to any meetings, any clubs, because I personally know
the whole thing's open for anyone. So I don't know why people, and I think that's why a lot of the Mexican people want to join different clubs, because they feel that the sense that other people are going to say, well, he's getting out of his class. He belongs to the Lions Club or the Rotary Club or what happens. And
I don't know, Leo. As far as I'm concerned, what you said there might be with other Mexican-American people, but not with me. It's not the sense that I'm that I say, well, if I join the Lions Club, I'm going to step out of my class and my people are going to think, well, he's getting big shot. No. In fact, some of the Mexican-American people in Farmersville have always said, well, Dan, why don't you run for councilman? Not only the Mexican-American people, I've had some Anglo-American people ask me, how come you don't try to run for councilman?
Why don't you?
Well,
Why don't you?
well, I've always told them this. I says, I haven't got enough education to try to help run a city. Maybe I have got the common sense, but still, this is what always kept me back. I haven't got enough school.
This is what Ralph says on film, and he criticizes. He says that, you know, there aren't enough people who are potentially good leaders taking this kind of involvement and this kind of interest, and that's what's wrong with Farmersville.
Well, I think so, see. Go ahead, Leo.
In a case like this, I don't think education is the answer. Because if you've got good common sense, I don't care if you never went to school a day in your life, you can help. And this is the case with Danny. Danny's got good common sense about everything he does. Running this crew, working for this rancher, anything he does. Why couldn't he help in a city where half of the people are Mexican people?